So, hi and welcome everybody to the introduction to wireless communications and mobile communications. The same with the previous presentation. The first question we ask, why? Why should we care about this field? Or why should I study this field? First, because it's a part of our daily lives. Everybody among us is using his phone. Imagine your life without a phone. Can you live? Can I take your phone for a week and tell you, manage your things? You'll be very upset with me and you will be angry. How can I survive? How can I? Everything on the phone. So it's becoming part of our daily life. So it's very important if something we are using it on a daily basis. So it's very important to understand what this thing, how does this work? What if I want to make my own? Let's say, what if Turk Telecom or Turkcell tells you, I no longer want to serve you. Or a disaster happens, like earthquake before a few months, the network stops. Or for example, you decide to own your network so that you make sure your data is secure. Nobody can control it because when you talk over the other networks, your data goes to them. So they have the ability to look at your data to see what you are doing. But what if you want to have your own data? So these are use cases, scenarios where you need to understand how this system works and try to build your own. Yes, if you want. If you want, at least no. If I want one day to build my own network, I can, if you study this field. So if you want to be secure, if you want to build your own network for your friends and family, for example, the military, they don't use the commercial network you use. They don't. Why? Because the communication there is very sensitive. They don't share it with any company. They don't share it with anybody. They build their own network. Yes, if a disaster happens or this, they are building networks where the drones carry a flying mobile station, flying tower, and goes to serve the people there. Because when earthquake happens, all the base station will collapse on the ground, isn't it? You will be out of service. You cannot use your phone. You cannot talk to your families. The ones who want to reach you, you cannot tell them anything about you. These are the scenarios where you really need to think carefully and try to learn the things that enable you to build your own network or understand how these things work. So, in mobile communication, we have the largest number of subscribers, and they are increasing day by day. Mobile devices dominate the internet. Yes, most of the traffic coming to the internet generated from mobile devices. Mobile applications dominate internet use. Yes, imagine your phone without internet connection. Will it be useful to you? It becomes worthless. So internet, think of it, is like the petrol of your car. Your car, would it be useful without petrol? Can you drive it? Can make it? The same phone. Without applications and internet, it's useless. So this is where communication comes into the picture. And you need to provide internet with the required speed and the required reliability and required latency. Yes, and be able also to develop applications that can make use of this network once you establish it. Technology fully integrated into everybody's life, as we have just said, almost anywhere. New and exciting applications beyond voice. We have data, multimedia, mobile social network, cloud computing, mobile gaming, mobile IPTV. Every day there is a new application, every day. In the future, you might not need this. In the future, everything will be on the cloud and the screen will be on the air and you will be able to interact with the screen by your eyes or your hands. And you will have as many capacity as you want, as many processing as you want, because hopefully the engineers will be able to develop technologies that are so fast that even if my data on a data center in Istanbul, it can come to me quickly when I ask for it or when I serve it. So these are the devices we are using in mobile applications. So cellular networks impact our lives. Nobody can deny this. More mobile connections, we have more devices, more mobile users are using the network, more mobile information sharing due to having many applications, and more infrastructure deployment. All these motivate us. This shows you that there are hundreds of opportunities for telecommunication engineers to come and work and develop applications, develop infrastructure, develop new types of tools and devices that can help and suffice the requirements of the users. Convergence of different worlds. We have terminal convergence, the smartphones. For example, in the old days, mobile phones used only for speech, for communicating. Do you remember before 10 years where you didn't have internet at phone? You were using them just for voice. So we called them at that time communication tools. But nowadays, your phone is a computer. It's a computing device. So your computer can communicate and your communication device can compute. So it's like a communication computing device in your pocket. In the old days, you used to have like calculator, watch, temperature sensor. Let's say if you want to know the temperature, you have to have a sensor. If you want to set an alarm, you have to have a device for an alarm. If you want to surf the internet, you have to have a device, a PC. If you want all these different devices now in one compact device. It does not only provide you with communication services, but also with computing services. So FM, for example, you needed a radio. Now you can listen from the internet to FM and any station in the world, even in USA. So it's amazing. Communication devices compute, computing devices communicate, computer phone, really computer phone, tablets, smartphones, entertainment devices communicate, communication devices entertain, like game phone, TV phone, multimedia phones, mobile advertising, mobile social networking. We have the network convergence, the network. We have service convergence, where you have multimedia and beyond, not only voice, but data, video, mobile social networking, camera, GPS, game, travel guide. There are now social media, social platforms based on the location. The closest people to you within 1 meter, within 1 meter or 1 kilometer, can connect you with them, who have the same interest as you. For example, you want to do something, forget about Facebook. There are new applications nowadays that work with location. For example, you want to do something and you want to find people who want to do the same thing so that you get together and help each other and build that thing. Tells you exactly who's and where to go. It's really unbelievable. So life is changing. Unbelievable what's happening these days, and in the future even will be more. So it's very important to cope up, understand this technology, and start being part of it and develop it for your benefit. Yes, and for the benefit of your country and society. Last few years, see how many applications, mobile internet application and services from Skype, Google, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, unbelievable number of mobile applications when you go to Google Store or iPhone Store and see. And there is also extremely different types of mobile devices. Yes, not only from Samsung, Apple, Huawei, but also you have many different types of devices, tablets or phones, or with different screen sizes, with different computing resources, with different memory sizes. So it's extremely different than the world we used to live before 10 years or 5 years. And if you don't cope up with this technology, you will be left behind. And that's very scary. You don't want this to happen. You want always to be up to date. This is the good thing about electrical engineers and computer. Different than civil engineering, for example, or architecture. They learn the things in the school, and then after that, they keep using them the same. Nothing changed, almost. Civil engineering, construction, building, you do this, done. Unless you want to integrate it with technology. But with electrical engineers, computer engineers, you need to be up to date with the technology, with the new technologies, with the new applications. So you need to continuously read, learn, So it's lifelong learning process. So you don't say, I graduated, I know everything. No, you just started. When you graduate, you just started. You need to keep learning every day because this field is emerging. Every day there is something new. Okay, you say about yourself electrical engineer and you come to the market, to the company, and the boss in the interview or the manager asks you about new technologies that you are not aware of. He says, okay, this student doesn't seem that he doesn't educate himself, doesn't learn, he only stick with the material that he learned in the school, which is not good. So we give you all like brief introduction, we give you basic information so that you understand the field from its roots. But after that, you need to develop yourself because the field is producing new things every day. So what are the market players in telecommunication? Yes, the market players. You want to know where can you work in the future? There are the service providers, the ones who provide you the internet service or voice service. Give me example on that. Turk Telecom, Turkcell, Vodafone, ISPs. Those are service providers. They give you the internet service or voice service. So you can work there as an engineer. Or what else? There is the equipment manufacturers. Like, give me example, Ericsson, Motorola, Apple, Samsung. Those are the people who build the network. The network. So those people build the network and build the devices and the equipment and give it to the service providers, Turkcell, Turk Telecom. Turkcell, Turk Telecom use these devices to serve the customers like you. So there is also the chipset providers, like the ones who design the chip inside the phone that's responsible for computing and communication. For example, Qualcomm, Broadcom, TI, analog devices. So the industry includes cellular, Wi-Fi, cordless phone, auto, vehicular-to-vehicle communication, vehicle-to-infrastructure, the smart grid network, the mobile advertisement, computing, wireless media, construction. Even in construction, you need wireless and communication devices, education, gaming, military, public safety, transportation, agriculture, almost touching every aspect of your life. Imagine this field is touching every aspect of your life. So it's such an important field that you need to try to understand a little bit about it. And if you want to be an expert in it, you must specialize in it. A trend in wireless, as you can see, year by year, the data rate is increasing tremendously. And the base station deployment is also increasing exponentially. And the traffic is also increasing thousands of times. That's why when the traffic, the demand from the users increase, this pushes the providers to upgrade their networks and deliver better services for you. But what if the technology is not enough? For example, everybody wants the video to be downloaded in seconds. Why should you wait for a video 5 minutes? Or even sometimes with the old networks, you wait 30 minutes to download a movie of 3 giga, yes? Usually. Why don't you download it with a second? Yes, everybody wants this, the users, they want this, but unfortunately, the current engineers in the world, they were not able to develop such technology. Say, they want your help in the future, understand this field, and be able to come up with new ideas, new technologies that can help these problems. You will become the star of the world in this domain. Like they will say, he saved us. We love him. He was able to develop a technology that made it easy for us to download videos quickly. For example, this is just one aspect. But also, what if you can make the objects communicate and connect them with the internet and give you information instantly with low delay and high reliability? This is what we call Internet of Things. So there are many problems that need your intelligence. So that's why here you prepare yourself, but you work on yourself even harder and more to reach the level where you become expert and scientist or researcher or entrepreneur, and you develop technologies that can solve critical problems in the world, so that you make the customers always happy from you. And if they are happy, then things will change. You will become like you have a saying in the industry. So as you can see, subscribers in US are increasing year by year, subscribers in India, in China, in the developed country, mobile devices are taking over the internet. As you can see, all the curves are showing you increase. When the market showing you increased trend in this domain, this shows that you can still choose this domain because there are plenty of jobs. Yes, the market demands your skills, needs you. You understand me? That's why we show you these statistics, to prove to you that there is still demand for this field. And as you can see, the voice service in the orange color here, it's almost steady in the last few years. Yes, anybody is using his voice. Rarely you are using the voice. Nowadays, if you want to communicate with your friends or families, you use WhatsApp, Messenger, basically internet application you use. You rarely use the voice service offered by Turk Telecom or Turkcell. Yes, they give you 1,000 minutes for free. How many of these minutes you use? Sometimes you don't. Not exactly. So it's voice is dead service, almost. Nobody's using it. What replaced voice? The internet. The internet, the data, providing you with data. Everybody wants as much data as possible on his phone. Not 10 giga, if possible 15, if possible 20. You can consume them. Yes, because you can use them for voice, for video, for browsing, for file transfer, for an application you want. So the concentration here on data, and as you can see, is exponentially increasing year by year because of the traffic. And here this curve shows you the traffic coming from mobile devices increasing to the internet, and the traffic coming from PCs decreasing because people are using nowadays their phones to access the internet. So this shows you the importance of mobile phone. If you want to develop an application, you rather develop it for phones, not PCs, because everybody has phone, but not necessarily everybody has PC. Yes, so you must be careful while you are, if you want to build an idea or an application or this, keep this in mind, take it into consideration. What's your expectation to the future for mobile wireless communication? What do you think will happen? We showed you the curves, this. Do you think it will continue? Do you think what types of applications, what type of network, what types of new devices we might have? So this question is really, many researchers around the world are working on it. What's the next killing application that gonna hit the market and people will start buying it and using it? What types of mobile devices? What types of applications? Now you have Instagram and this and Facebook, but after 5 years, what will happen? Do you think that Facebook will remain the same? Always people are competing with each other towards producing new innovative applications. So it's your role now to think beyond what's there, what's here. Think of new applications, or new devices, in new capabilities, so that you can produce them and offer them to the people. Now, what are the ingredients of cellular technology? The components of cellular technology. Mainly the devices. This is the visible but smallest part of the network. Yes, everybody, when you tell him telecommunication engineer, I'm telecommunication engineer, then normal people think that this is it. This is the only thing related to telecommunication, the mobile device. It's not, this is the smallest thing in the communication network, the mobile device. You have the towers, the cells, the base stations, the antennas, how to design them, operate them, and make them. What's the use of this if you cannot get a signal from the tower? Not only this, you have infrastructure, base station, cabling, microwave, data centers, routers, switches, data. It's really very complex and very large. These are not visible. Do you see them? You don't see them. Usually, only you see, barely you see these data centers and the people behind the network who are operating it. No, you don't see. But when you become an engineer, you will be in these positions, mostly. Engineering and telecommunication. And this is really, it's not visible, but comprise the major part of the network. Also from the investment point of view, because it's really expensive, much more expensive than your mobile device. Your mobile device, let's say $500 or this, these networks cost millions of dollars, millions. And even buying a spectrum from the government, you know what's a spectrum? Frequency to operate on. For example, your phone uses which frequency to send your data and receive? Let's say 900 megahertz. You want bandwidth so that it can carry your data. From where this bandwidth the companies take? From the government. Do you know 1 megahertz of bandwidth to carry your data, how much does it cost? Like maybe $50 million. This is air, buying the air. This is nothing, just to allow, the government allows the company to transmit the data over this frequency within this bandwidth to serve the customers. Millions of dollars just buying the air to allow you to transmit your signal over the air within certain bandwidth. Do you know this? Do you see this? You don't. So it's not only this device. There are many things. Of course, you will learn them along the way when you specialize in communication and modulation. Some terms known by anybody on the street, the coverage area. The coverage, you say, I am out of coverage, means the network, the signal cannot reach me. Why? Because I am beyond the coverage of the network. And here, standby time, talk time, bars. When you have these bars, what does this mean? Full or less? It means the signal quality. You are out of coverage. Blocked calls. Sometimes you want to call and the call is blocked. Why? Because there is no enough capacity for you. The network is occupied. For example, in the graduation ceremony, you want to call from here, but there are thousands of people and everybody using his phone. You want to ring to your friend or your family, it doesn't give you the service. What's the problem? Because there are already so many people and the network is congested. To serve the people, Turk Telecom and these companies, they bring a new mobile station with car and they build it around the event. Like especially when there is a ceremony or people gathering, large people gathering. The current base station is designed, for example, to serve only 100 users simultaneously. But what if you have 1,000? You need to deploy more base stations and more infrastructure so that you can serve the customers. So the data rate, what's the data rate? You say, Turk Telecom provided me data rate of 100 megahertz. So this means the amount of data bits you can transfer in a second. Or they gave me a limit of 100 giga. This is the amount of data you can take from the internet. They calculate it for you. If you exceed it, they stop it. So the capacity, how much data rate you can transmit over your channel. The coverage, how long your distance can go. Outage and congestion. Are you in outage? Means you cannot communicate to the network. Data versus voice and others as well. The history of wireless communication, as you know, in the ancient times we used the smoke signals, carrier pigeon, and as you can see, year by year we developed until we developed the telecommunication methodologies until we reach nowadays to tens of technologies that enable us to send and communicate with each other, like WiMAX, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, ultra-wideband, 4G, LTE, ad hoc, sensor networks, smart grid, automated highways, even 5G people are working on, already 5G standardized. Hopefully within the coming few years you will be using 5G. And now people and researchers in the world, especially in China, they are preparing for 6G. We don't know what will it be. But any kind, you know, the fight between USA and China about 5G, 4G, blocking Huawei. They don't want all this because of technology, because the country that has the technology has the power over the world. So you are very valuable if you understand the technology, because you will be source of power for the country or for the company. Yes? Because how do you measure power now? In the old days, it was physical power. Previously was airplane power and this. Nowadays, it's the network, the internet, the technology is the power. If you have it first, then you can control the world, because the data of the people come through you, you provide the devices, you offer them the services. If they need any, they are under your command, under your control. What if, let's say we are too much dependent on Huawei, and what if Huawei decides to stop selling the devices to Telecom, Turkcell? What will happen to the whole country? Yes, it's really so critical. So in the old days, this was the first phone, first mobile radio telephone. And it cannot do anything except voice communication. This was in the 1880. I think in USA and Finland, they were basically, Finland were the first actually to start developing mobile technologies, because Finland, Nokia is the first company to develop the cellular networks, which is GSM in 1990s, and they standardized it. And basically, Europe and USA think of them one country, because all the people in USA are basically immigrants from Europe. So when they immigrated, they transferred the technology with themselves there. So basically, most of them. So in 1990 was the first standardized mobile cellular networks. Before 30 years almost. We are here now. It was 1G, 2G. They started commercializing it. Before, it was only for very important people, like VIP, just for government people talking with each other and scientists. Now, in 1980s, we had these types of phones, the bulky phones, if you remember them, and just for voice, and very heavy and weighty. And then in the second generation, we had these Nokia phones that they have keypads and only allows you to messaging and voice. In the third generation, we had Apple phones and Samsung phones. And then we had the tablets and different types of phones. The future generation are aiming to produce different types of phone. Everybody now, as you can see here, we moved. In the old days, the phones were big, yes? And gradually, users started liking to have smaller phones, so that you can put it in your pocket, you don't care about it. It's not heavy. And it's nice to have something handy with you. But nowadays, people no longer want small phones. They want larger phones. So imagine it was, in the beginning, they didn't want large phones, now they want large phones. What's the difference? You want bigger screen, yes? But it's really bothering you, the phone. Sometimes you forget it, sometimes you are putting you in your pocket. It's really, yes, especially if it's a little bit big, you always need to be carrying it with your hand or putting it in a safe place. But what if you get the capabilities of these phones, but they are small, tiny? Which one would you choose? Would you remain using these phones or the tiny ones? But the screen, don't worry about the screen will be available and you will be interact with it. I don't know how, but they are working on something like this in the future. The screen might be in the air and you are the only one who can see it, nobody else. Imagine, and you interact with the screen by your eyes or your hands. From the air, you don't need to have a timer or solid device like this. Just any device that gives you the on and off and everything on the internet and comes to you quickly. in a very high speed. So this is imagination in the future. So 2G basically, which was launched in 1991, GSM, uses basically digital voice, and it was low-speed circuit data. What was the data rate? Almost less than 10 kilobit per second. Just for SMS, you cannot send any more, something more than this. In 2.5G, we call it GPRS, the data rate increased to 100 kilobit per second. And at that time, we started sending emails for the first time ever from mobile phones. It was really striking that time. 3G gave you data rate of 2 megabit per second, and you started sending photos. It was really amazing service and application, photos and little bit of video. With 4G now, we have almost 1 gigabit per second, and we are easily sharing videos over Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and these. The network can handle this, but in the old days, you didn't have. So the new applications without the network will not work. Yes? The technology enabled this application. You understand the relationship between them? So you are an engineer, you try your best to develop the technology that can enable users to use future applications that are useful to them. So here we are. 1G very big, 2G smaller, 3G smaller, and 4G again, you are trying bigger, bigger, bigger. And 5G, what types of phones? We don't know. We just predict that these phones will be smarter, nicer, more user-friendly, and they suffice the needs of the users. But how? We don't know. The companies usually work secretly for a long period of time on these things before they launch it to the people. So basically in digital cellular evolution, the first generation was using a technology called the frequency division multiple access. And this technology, they divided the resources of the spectrum in the frequency. You get frequency 10.2, you get 10.4, you get so that you serve all the users. But what if the frequencies are finished? 10 users, they got the spectrum, how can you serve more users? In 2G, they came up with the TDMA. Within the same frequency, you can divide it into time slots. Serve this, serve this, serve this. So within 1 second, you are serving 10 users. But since you are very fast, your ear cannot recognize you are sharing this medium with other users. In 3G, you used whole time, whole frequency, but you divided them into codes. You get code sequence, different than mine, different than yours. And each one based on the code gets his data. And these are different types of devices and the 3G and where are we, the heterogeneous network we are dealing with. But basically the future networks are going to provide us and deliver us with amazing services and amazing devices that are going to shape the world around us. Not only these old devices like that we used to see and deal with, but devices like this maybe, or even more. You don't think of them, but companies are working on this now to change the device you are using for communicating with people. What types of devices on your hand or on the air or on the table, and the phones and the old ones, the future ones, and their capabilities, these are the things we are waiting to see in the future. So it depends on you as engineers to come up with new technologies, a new application, to learn them and be able to bring amazing technologies to customer that can make them happy and change the world to your side. That's where your role is. And this is basically what communication engineering is, and wireless in general specifically, and the future of it. And I hope you really go through the slides and understand this technology and this engineering field deeply so that you make your mind carefully which technology or which field I'm gonna choose in my life, and I will be specialized in, so that I help myself, my country, my family, and the people around me. So thank you very much for your attention, and I welcome now your questions or your comment. Thank you.